Okay, so thank you for coming a lot before I came in. So I have a technical problem with the server, and it turns out that my system is a little bit flaky, meaning that when something went down, then a lot of things went down, and it's kind of complicated to set things back up. So that's, that's a good thing because now I know that my system has some flaws in it. It's just that it always breaks before I want to use it, like this. So Sunday is usually the day that something, the power cut down, but now I just realized that my system is, needs some improvement. So that's the reason. All right, so without further ado, let's begin on, I kind of like the important thing that I want to show you in this class, which is the enterprise ERP software, okay? So after you install it, which it takes some time, right? But once you install it, then the next thing that we're going to do is actually to kind of learn how it works. And next time, hopefully, we can start to connect all the services together again so that it's kind of complete the whole picture for this IT class, okay? So if you go to your ERPNext, so you will be greeted with, a lot of menu. And that's the reason, because it has a lot of, department that you need to manage. So right off the bat, if you look at the menu on the left, you can see that there are many, it's called module, okay? So first, accounting, right? Buying, selling. So we're gonna be focusing on these three modules most of the class today. If you go to the newer version, there's similar things, right? Accounting, buying, and selling. But the menu is a little bit more, I guess people complain that there are too many things to click, so the newer version kind of reduces the number of things you see, okay? So right off the bat, I want to show you that behind the scene, what it's doing, right? So I can always, since I already own the server, right, you have access to the server. So why don't we take a look at the database too, and then I'll show you, how things kind of work, on the front end and also in your database, okay? So I'm going to open the Beaver, and you should too if you want, okay? Just take a look at what the program is doing behind the scene, okay? All right, so I'm going to open my database, which is the PM1CT102. So that's for my stuff right here. Okay, you should only have one entries in here. Okay, and if I check my database, then you should see something like this. So you should see a new database that has the underscore in front, and that's the database used by the ERP software. Okay, and you can expand it to see how many tables it contains. Okay, you should see something like this. So as you can imagine that, a more complex software requires a lot of tables to store the data, okay? And I want to show you that it's actually write the data into the database, right? So the trick that I like to use is that if you have too many tables, then it's really hard to find where it is. So there's a buttons in here called filter, okay? So I'm gonna filter it, okay? So what I want you to do is actually choose, make sure that you filter your database by table. So right now, I think the dot is right here. So make sure that it click at the table. So you see that a little filter icon, and make sure that you filter the table procedure. Okay, and that will help you. ของพี่นกกับของเพื่อนทำไม่ได้นะฮะเพราะว่านั้นเป็นของผมเองนะครับก็ดูตามไปก็ได้ครับ Okay. And if you do this, then your filter bar become quite useful because I can type, for example, if I type a company, okay, you can see that if I type company in here, then my table, that has, a lot of names, then just filter the one which is a company in front. So that's a useful trick for you to find what you're looking for. Okay, so see if you can do something like this. So say I want to find company. So the table that has the name companies in it, there are 4 of them, for example. Okay. And maybe I can try something more like account. If I want to see the accounting related table, then I have a lot of tables that pertain to the word accounts, for example, okay? Okay, so let's see how it kind of works behind the scene, okay? For example, let's focus on something that we're gonna use in a short time, which is item. So we're gonna create a company and then we're gonna buy and sell item, basically, right? So let's look at the table called item. So I'm gonna type items in here. Okay, item, right? And then I'm gonna look for the name of the table that's called item. So this guy right here, tab item, right? So why don't we double click on it? So I'm gonna double click on the table called tab item, right? And I mean, I guess this one I guess I already tested on my own. So I do have some data on it, but you probably don't have anything in here, I think. So make sure so what we want to do is we want to double click on the table item. Make sure we're on the data tab, okay? And then we're going to see if we can add something, and actually the program will update this database. Okay, so you have a kind of a feel on what's happening behind the scene. Okay, so I will come to my ERPNext, right? I'm going to click on, so right now we're going to go to stock. Okay, right here, stock. ครับทำไมวะ มันไม่มีเนาะซอฟต์แวร์เราใช้ได้เปล่า
นั่นเนี่ยค่ะมันไม่เหมือนของอาจารย์เนี่ยมันมีแค่นี้
ใช่เพราะว่าของเรายังใช้ไม่ได้เพราะเรายังอินสตอลไม่เสร็จเราชมจำได้ของเราผมลงให้แต่แฟปเป้แต่ผมให้คุณลงต่อเองเพราะนั้นไม่เป็นไรเพราะนั้นเดี๋ยวเราต้องใช้ของผมแทนครับโอเคงั้นเราใช้อันนี้ครับ tech03.iecmu.com โอเคใครที่ไม่มีไอเทมแปลว่ายังทำไม่เสร็จนะครับก็ใช้ของผมไปซะครับ Okay, it's fine. I just want to show you how it works behind the scene, but most of the time today we're going to focus on the front end, not the back end, okay? All right, so without further ado, I just want to show you this. If I were to go to items in here, okay, or here, it totally doesn't matter, right? I can come in here and so let's say I'm going to delete everything for now. So my item is empty. Okay, I can delete everything, right? So I'm going to come here and I'm going to create a new item. Okay, so item, right? And usually when you want to have item in your inventory, you need some code. Like usually it's called SKU, stock keeping unit. But right now it can be any name. That's fine. So I'm going to say pen. So I'm going to sell and buy pen in my company. Okay. And you just have to pick a group of items. So this one is for filtering. It can be anything, but usually if it's something that we sell, it's going to be product. Okay, so the code usually it's a number, SKU, okay? And then the groups can be anything. That's all you need. Okay, so I'm going to hit saved right now. And I already have a pen in here. Okay, that's it, right? And if I were to do this, and then I come back into my, I guess in my database, if I hit refresh right here, then you're going to see that my data changes. Okay, so I just want you to know that, once you have access to the database, like this program, it's actually writing everything into the database, and you can kind of inspect what happened. If you want to kind of learn how things work, that's how it works. Okay. Right? That's it. This is a small point, but then I'll come back here later if you have something interesting to say. Okay. All right. So in order to use ERP for your business, at the foundation of, I guess, all the business management software is accounting, because your business cannot survive without accounting. Right? Think about accounting as your Excel sheets that you record the transaction. Like you pay somebody, you receive money, you move things around to different accounts. That's accounting. Okay. So in ERPNext and also in any professional accounting software, we are using what's it called the double entry accounting, which means that when you are recording financial transaction, you are recording two entries. Even if you're paying someone, there's going to be two things on your database, okay? And that is for consistency checked, okay? So I'm not an accountant, so I didn't learn much about accounting, so I am not fully familiar with how the check's gonna be, but that's what I heard, okay? So maybe if you have more experience, then you might enlighten me later, okay? But here's the thing, like when there are transactions occurring in your business, you're gonna have two entries. One is called the debit entry, okay? And it's abbreviated by DR, okay? And another one is called credit entry, okay? What I want you to think about is that the credit and debit entry is more like a bucket, okay? So when you want to input anything in your system, you have to make sure that the two bucket balances, okay? So if you put something into the debit bucket, the same amount has to be put into the credit bucket, okay? ระบบบัญชีคู่นะครับ and that's the thing that I guess ensure the consistency. So if you are doing this, then I guess I was told that in the end you can only look at the balance in the end and it has to be equal. If it's equal, then it ensures that everything inside is consistent. That's how it works, okay? All right, so when you work with the accounting, there are different types of accounts that you have to, I mean, if you are actually going to use it, you have to know where things are going to go, okay? But for now, it doesn't really matter for you. I'm not going to test you on here too, okay? There are 5 types of accounts in accounting. There are assets, okay? So asset is the things that you own. For example, your bank account is your assets, okay? If you have, if somebody owes you money, that's also your assets, okay? If you have stuff in your inventory, in your warehouse, that's also your assets, okay? There are going to be account name that reflects your asset. For example, account name bank account name stock, account name debtor, that's somebody that owe you money, okay? Also, apart in the opposite way from the asset, it's called liability. It's something that you owe, okay? For example, if you're supposed to pay someone, that's your liability, right? For example, if you have an invoice from your supplier, then you're supposed to pay the supplier, then you have liability. You are liable to pay someone. If you owe the government tax, for example, the value added tax, then you have liability, something like that, okay? หนี้สิน you can read it in Thai if you want, okay? Another one is called equity. Equity is the things that you invest, okay? As you will see that when we start the company, somebody needs to invest into the company, and that goes into the equity, okay? Income, which is quite straightforward, right? So the income, I don't know what to explain, like you get money from your customer, that's an income, okay? Expense is also an expense, I don't know, you pay for expense, right? Something like that, okay? The things about, you know, the double accounting like this is that there are two broad category of account type that behave kind of differently, okay? So there are the group, I would say the group on the left and the group on the right, okay? So maybe the header doesn't make much sense, but the things that I try to kind of remind myself is that if I were dealing with asset and expense, then if it's increased, okay, if it's increased, so if you have more asset, if your expense increase, the balance is actually positive, okay, which makes sense, right? If you have more asset, you have more money in your bank account, then the balance should be more positive, okay? And if you have more expense, then your expense balance will be positive, okay? But the things that kind of throw me off at the beginning, and I guess still throw me off at some point, is that this type of accounts actually work against my intuition. For example, if you have more equity, like you invest more into your company, the balance is actually more negative. That's kind of against our common sense, right? Also, liability. If you owe money, if you owe more money to people, your government, then the balance on that account will be increasingly negative. Okay? For me, that's a little bit strange. But what kind of throw me off a lot at the beginning is income, right? Income. Usually, if we think about recording an income in Excel, like today I make 10,000 baht from my sale. Usually you would just type 10,000 baht into your account, and then you should have 10,000 baht as the positive balance, right? We got more income. But then in this double accounting thing, income is actually negative, meaning that if you had more income, then your balance is actually increasingly negative, which is kind of weird, right? Like for me, it's totally against my intuition, but that's what it is. So you'll see, okay? But the good thing is that once you start using ERP, which is like the software for management, you don't really need to know much about this because everything's almost is done behind the scene for you. Like if you stay within the flow of the programs, then it pretty much gonna put the right amount into the right account for you and in the right manner. And the only thing is that when you start to break away from the normal flow of the program, then it requires to inspect all of this to see if it makes sense or not. Okay, so once you start to break away from the normal flow, then that's when you actually need to understand accounting to make sure that you don't break anything in terms of like account audits. Okay. All right. So for example, like this is the balance from ERPNext that I made earlier. So for example, the account that's called creditors is the liability account. That means that right now I'm owing somebody 100 baht. So I think this for this one because I buy something from my supplier 100 baht, right? As you can see that it's on the credit side and the balance is actually negative 100. So that's something that's you have to kind of keep in mind that this is normal. Like you're gonna see something like this in the income account also. If you have income, your balance is actually negative. That's something to get used to, okay? All right, so something that I keep in mind every time that I teach this is that I'm gonna have this table on, and then if I try to explain using the table, it's more straightforward. For example, if I have an asset, right? I want to increase my asset, meaning that, for example, I have more money in my bank account. Where should I add to? If I want to increase my asset, I add to the debit side. So it's a positive side, right? But if I have, if I want to decrease my asset, then I add to the other side, to the credit side. Okay, as you will see, that this is something that I will use to explain. Okay, so the blue group is actually quite straightforward. If something increased, it goes to the debit side, and that's quite a normal one. So something increased, the balance more positive, okay? But the thing that's kind of confusing is the red one right here. So the red one is kind of against our intuition. For example, if I have income, if I have more income, right, had more income, I have to add it to the credit side, which can make my balance more negative. That's the thing. Okay, so as you can see that anything with the red color, if it's going to be increased, you have to add it to the credit side, which is going to reflect into the more negative balance. Okay, I'll come back again just to show you how it works. Okay, but just to hammer the point, right? You don't need to understand this in great detail. If you stick with the normal flow of the software, it will do this for you automatically. Okay. For example, like this, right? If this is the value added tax, right? If it's on the debit side, that means that you're owing somebody, something like that. So, I mean, if you're doing it on a, like on your own, like you're making this transaction on your own, then you have a choice whether you want to put it here I'll put it here, but it has different meaning according to the table that I have here. So I'll come back later. Okay, I'll come back later. All right, so just to give you guys some example, let's say that I open a business, right? And I invest 70,000 baht into the company, okay? And then I also borrow 30,000 baht from my friends. So I have to know where should I put this balance into my account, basically, okay? And again, you can see that there are two sides that I can choose. There are the debit and the credit side, okay? For example, if somebody invests in the company, right, so that is called equity, okay? So I have to come back here and I say, if equity increase, I want to add to the credit side. So that 70,000 baht is going to go to the credit side, which is right here, the credit side, okay? And if you look, if you inspect this in the software, you're going to see that the balance on that particular account is negative 70,000. Okay, it's going negative. Okay. Also, if I borrow something from my friends, that means that my debt increase, right? I owe somebody, right, more and more money. That means that if my liability increase, I have to add it to the credit side also. Okay, so that means that this particular part goes here, 30,000 baht. Okay, but then once you complete whatever you have in here, you have to think about what is going to balance the bucket, right? So right now you have the bucket on the credit side, which a total of 100,000 baht, right? But then you need another bucket to have the same amount. And the other bucket is actually asset, right? Because once somebody invests into your company and then you borrow your money from your friends, then that money go into the assets. So it's, I guess you can think about the assets that belong to the company. So whenever the asset increase, it goes into the debit side. So that's why you have the assets in here, okay? And again, just to hammer the point, you're going to have 100,000 baht on the asset side, and then 100,000 baht on the credit side. So the debit side and the credit side. So that's equal. And that's required for every transaction that you do in any professional accounting software. Okay. Okay. Let's look at another example. Okay. So let's say that Sarah bought an equipment for 25,000 baht. Okay. When you buy something, that's go into your expense. Okay. And again, I have to go back to my table. Okay. If my expense increase, I add to the debit side. So this time, that 25,000 baht is going to go to the left side. Right here. Go to the left side. Okay? But then, right now, I have the debit bucket, which, 25,000, right? I need another bucket to have 25,000 too. Okay? And that one is actually liability. Okay? And how do I know that the other one has to be liability? I have to read the book. So this one is where your accounting knowledge is going to come in, right? You have to know which account you're going to put things on in the debit and the credit side, or your accountant should know, okay? So if you buy something, you're going to owe people, you're going to owe somebody else something, and that is $25,000 that you owe, okay? You haven't paid him yet, right? When you buy something, you have expense and liability. Okay, so that's from accounting. Okay, all right. So the next item is that if you receive money, okay, so they sold the product, okay, for 50,000 baht, right? And within that 50,000, 25,000 is going to be the money that actually received, but then it's going to and then the rest is actually going to be paid later. So there are two things that goes into this kind of activity. First is that if we receive money right away, this part is actually income. But then this part is actually somebody owe us 25,000. So it's the debt that we have. So both of them is actually assets, right? We have assets. One is the money that we got. The other one is the debt that somebody owe us, mean to pay us later, okay? So if we have assets, right? Assets, again, if we want to increase the assets, we add to the debit part, okay? So it goes to the left side. So that's why both of them actually goes here, okay? So the money that we got and the debt that we have is going to go on the debit side, okay? But then on the right side, that's when things are actually against our intuition, because the right side is actually income. So we got income, but then the income turns into an asset, right? But then the income is actually on the credit side, which means that if you look at the balance on the income, it's actually negative 50,000 baht, which is totally weird for me in the beginning, okay? But it works out like that, okay? So in the end, after we recorded 3 transactions, we have a bucket called the debit and the credit. And as you can see that they are the same, 175,000 baht. So I guess as I would guess that if you have an accounting audit, they're gonna look at the total credit and the debit, and then if they're not equal, then I think you have some work to do, okay? Some like sorting stuff to do later, okay? Again, you don't have to do this manually, okay? But I'm gonna tell you how to do it manually once, but then the rest of the time, it's gonna be done for you automatically, okay? All right, so hands on. We are going to open a business and then record all the things in ERPNext, okay? So let's do it. So first, we're gonna have somebody invest in our company, so John and Mary, okay? And then we're gonna pay the rent and pay the salary, okay? All right, so hopefully you are at this page, okay? If you're not at this page, let me know, okay? If you need to set up your account or anything, just let me know. I can wait for you. If not, you good? You see this one? Not yet? Okay. I remember you already had installed, you already have it installed, right? Yeah. Okay, so the link should be something like this, similar to this, okay? Hmm?
So when I try at home, special font.
Can you go back to the main URL? Yeah, that one works. Okay, it works. Okay. All right. So where is the accounting steps at, right? First, we're gonna go to the accounting module right here. Okay, so you can either just click on it. Okay. And again, there are many things that we can look at. But first, we want to look at the account itself. Okay, so the place where we look at the account is called the charts of account. Okay, so let's click on it. Okay, and right off the bat, you have many things that already set up for you. Okay, and the best way to look at it for me is actually to look at the tree view, like this. So click at the list wheel and then change it into the tree view. Okay, ทำได้นะ ตรงนี้น่าจะเหมือนกันเนาะ chart of account. Okay, for the new version, there's a chart of account right here. Same thing. Okay, and it's actually default into the tree view, which is even better. So there are 2 versions in here that I try. Okay, this one is the older version. All right. So as you can see that there are 5 types of accounts. There are assets, liability, equity, income, and expenses. So the 5 types of account that we're going to put things on, right? So if we want to invest, like somebody wants to invest in our company, that goes into the equity. So let's create an equity account for that guy, right? So I can expand it like this. Okay, let me see. Oh yeah, I can make it bigger. Okay, and right now you have a lot of things that you can put your transaction on. But just for a kick, let's just add a new one. So we're gonna go to add child. Okay, add child. And right here, you can name your account with any name you want. So let's say, because I think Mary is the one that I'm going to go first. So, oh, John, okay. So I'm going to name my account John. Okay, like that. Account number doesn't really matter. This is not a bank account, okay? And make sure that your account type is called equity, because that will come up when you try to search for it. So let's make it the right groups. Okay, so right now I have John and equity. I think that's all I need. Yeah, that's all I need. So just create new.
The currencies are your defaults.
It's okay, don't worry. Doesn't matter, okay. Okay, so right now I have a new account called John. And if you want to delete it, just delete it, okay? Doesn't really matter. I'll actually delete right here. Don't delete the folder. Delete the folder, everything's gone, okay? So delete from here, that's all, okay? So I have John. Then maybe I want to put in the transaction where John actually give the company the money, right? So that one's go into what's it called, the journal entry, okay? Think about journal entry as an entry that you would type into your Excel, okay? But this one is a little bit more, I guess, professional. Okay, I'm going to go to my accounting again, and then I'm going to search for journal entry, which is something right here. But maybe there's somewhere, like usually it's kind of, oh, right here too. Okay, there are many places you can click. Okay, journal entry. Okay, and again, I want to add the journal entry, which logged whatever John's invest into my company. Okay, and as you can see that these are the form, right? And usually what you need to do is here. So here is where you want to put things into the debit and then the credit buckets, okay? So first, John is going to go into John, right? We already had an account called John, right? And this one is for equity, right? And again, I want to just hammer that point, right? Like if you want to do it manually like this, you have to know where to put things on, okay? So if your equity increase, you want to add to the credit side. So that means that 2,000 baht or whatever currency you have goes here. Like, pay attention to where you can put, right? That's when that's why I mention it like this, because doing things manually, you can make mistakes into the accounting records like this, okay? All right, so, but what happened when somebody give us money? Asset increase, okay? So we're gonna add another row, okay? And you should already have another account called bank account. That's one already created for you automatically, okay? And as you can see that once you click at the bank account, the credit and the debit is actually balanced automatically because, you know, why not, right? And that's it. That's how you input the transaction into your accounting system, okay? So I'm gonna say saved, okay? And once you saved it, you can see that your document is in what is called the draft states. So the draft states meaning that it's not committed to the database yet. But then once you submit it, now actually this one go into your database now, but it's in the draft state, meaning that somebody else can come and fix it. But now once you submit it, it's no longer, I guess, deletable in a quote. It's actually deletable, but in the normal flow, once you submit your document, it's not supposed to be deleted anymore, okay? Okay, just to show you that once I do something like this, right, and then it's kind of everything fully submitted, I can always go to my database and check whether it's there or not. So if I say journal entry, you don't have to do this, okay? But if you want, you can try, okay? So I'm gonna make sure that I have journal, and then actually I should not have space right here, okay? There's a table called journal entries in here, okay? Because I searched for it, okay? And let's see what it has. Let's see the item that it has, right? Right away, you can see that there are one row happening, okay? And one cool trick that I always use is if it's, you know, if it has many columns like this, it's really hard to go through, right? You can click this particular button right here and change it into the I guess, the column format instead of like a row format. Okay. If I click at this record button, you can see that my row, I guess my row become my column. It's like transposing. Okay. And then you can see that there are many, I guess, information that pertain to this particular transaction. Notably, there are 2,000 baht that that get recorded into your company. Okay. All right. So that's how you do it manually. Okay. And once you do it, right now, you should be able to see that your company does have, a new status. Okay, so I'm gonna explore something called the financial report. So I'm gonna expand like this, okay, and I wanna focus on the financial reports. Okay, let me see the other version if they have it or not. Okay, same thing. Okay, all right. You can look at what's called the balance sheet, which is where is it? Here, in the middle. Okay, let's check the balance sheet to see if it makes sense. Okay, so right now I have my equity, 2,000 baht. Okay, makes sense, right? And you're gonna kind of see that once you start, adding more transaction into your company, then the balance sheet will change. Okay. There are many things that you can look at, and like I was told that the accountant like to see this one a lot. It doesn't really make sense to me though. I usually just look at the balance sheet because I don't think that makes sense to me at the moment. Okay, you can try other things if you want, right? There are like cash flow and things like that. I'm sure there are reason for it. Okay. All right, so we're gonna come back here once we start having more activity in our systems. Okay. Okay, the next stop is going to be, maybe we can add some, okay, so why don't we have another person invest into our company as like an example, right? In the example, there are Mary, there's Mary, right? So why don't we create another transaction for Mary to put things on, right? So you can do it in two ways. If you don't really care about who it is, you can create a journal entry right away and just pick one account that's right in the equity and then the other one into the bank account, right? But if you want to keep track of what Mary is doing, then maybe you might want to create another account called Mary. That's also another possibility, okay? So I'll leave you to it, and I'll work on this one in a couple minutes, okay? Okay, can you refresh this button?
Yeah, and I got
If not, then can you just refresh the whole thing?
I did, but I got this message that...
Okay, because you need fiscal year. Okay, so you need...
It's this year, but...
Okay, you need to go to accounting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. There's something called fiscal year.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, click that. Okay, can you add another one that's next? So this, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, can you go back? I want to see. So this one ends at the October 2024. So you have to add a new one. Okay, so start from September. So yeah, so anybody who use my I guess my system, then you might run into this problem. So can you add fiscal year?
Yes.
So it goes from October 1st
yeah.
to another year.
Okay, so 2025.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And then start date.
It already know. Oh, no, this is January, right? So you have to do October.
Yeah. And then, okay.
It already knows. Okay, just saved it. It should work now.
Okay. And now I can go to accounting and balance sheets. And
Can you pick? Yeah, you should. Mm-hmm. Does it make sense? Did you add any journal entry into it?
edit John.
Can we go back into the? Can you go back to the main page and go into journal entry? So go accounting and scroll down journal entry. Okay, that's fine. So it's in the draft state. Can you submit it? Submit. There you go. Okay, so that's why. That's why. So it's not registering. Yeah, you have the same problem, right? Okay. Yeah. So you have to create another. Yeah. So that one works. Okay, and you saved.
Yeah.
1 year after fiscal year end. Okay. I don't know why that happened.
Yeah.
Can you click at this again?
Yeah.
Maybe and then just pick a date. Okay, something like that.
2024.
Oh, okay. So a year meaning that it doesn't. It's not the same date. It's the date before. Right? Can you save? Does it work? Oh, it's overlapping. Okay,
Yeah.
it has to be October 2025. Sorry, no. The start date has to be October 2025,
That's good. Okay, and the end date.
and that's good. You should be able to save it. Yep. Okay, and
Nice. And only it's okay. Just have to do the account. Okay, thank you.
can I check the journal entry real quick? See if it's okay. It's still
Yes,
draft. So
it
can you
is, yeah.
submit? Okay, you should be able to submit now. There you go. Okay. So how did it happen? I don't know why. How did you set it yourself, the fiscal year?
No.
Because you know, like starting at October, it's actually the Thailand thing. It's not standard. So I wonder, like, who set this for you? It's kind of wondering.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
automatically set.
Hmm.
Yes.
I mean, how could it know, right? It's kind of weird. Or maybe it knows.
Maybe it was when we.
You have to choose the country at the beginning. Maybe you already know. Because in Thailand, the fiscal year starts from October. It's not on January,
Yeah, maybe.
which is like mind blown. Like, yeah, okay. That's actually new. Like before, I had to come here and then manually change it. Okay, I didn't know that it's already no. That's pretty cool. Okay, so take some time to have Mary invest into your company. Shall we? แม่ครับได้ไหมครับ
หนูเมื่อกี้หนูพยายามจะ
เอ้ยอันนี้ไม่เกี่ยวกับเราเพราะว่าถ้าเราใช้ไซต์ของผมอะครับมันจะดูดัตต้าเบสไม่ได้ครับอันนี้เราไม่ต้องดูดัตต้าเบสเราทำนี่ไปอย่างเดียวลง journal entry ลงอะไรไปให้มัน make sense แค่นั้นพอ
เมื่อกี้เหมือนตามมาไม่ทัน
Okay, maybe actually I was told by my colleague who's an accountant that whenever you start the accounting, you should always make sure your fiscal year is correct, because if you got it wrong, everything messed up. Like it's too hard to fix. So let's do that. Okay, just to be a good accountant. Okay, so we're gonna go to the fiscal year because I'm seeing problems now. Okay, so first, fiscal year. Make sure that it's covering what we are going to input today. Okay, so I go to my fiscal year. So right now, yeah, I remember I did this myself. Okay, so maybe you already have the one in here, which only goes from October last year into the 30th of September. If you had that, you need to add another year because no accounting transaction can be done without the fiscal year. It's no. Okay, so you gotta make sure that you have another fiscal year that cover today's date. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is we're gonna go to the chart of account, and we're gonna make sure that we have some account for John to invest the money in our company. Okay, so I'm gonna go to equity because that's where the investment should go. Okay, I'm gonna add a child. And then you just name anything. So maybe this is a good opportunity for me to show you what Mary, like let's say Mary want to invest in my company, and I'll just add another account named Mary. So keep in mind that it's very common for a company to have 1,000 accounts. So it doesn't really matter, you can just create a new one. It's better to have more. I guess I was told that maybe it's better to just have more, okay? So I wanna make sure that this is equity, okay? and then just create new one, right? So right now I have John and Mary, okay, and that's it. That's all I need in order to record their investment. So, and pro tips for here, if I already know that I want to go to journal entry, I don't even need to access the menu. I just type in here, journal entry. Okay, so that's called the search bar. So you search, like once you start to get comfortable with the name, then whatever you want, you can just search from here. It's actually quicker. Okay, so I'm going to go for journal entry, list. Okay, so this is the one that I already input. So I add another one. And right now, I want to have Mary, right? Mary is the equity account, right? Again, if I go back to my cheat sheet table, if I want equity to increase, I have to add it to the credit side. So that's one quite important for consistencies, right? I have to add it here. So Mary is going to invest for 3,000 baht. Okay, so I'm going to say 3,000. And then the equity goes into assets. Okay, you can have any account in your asset category, but one that's kind of appropriate is called bank account. Why not, right? Transfer money into our bank account, and then you can see that the balance balances automatically, right? And you want to save and submit. Okay, just save first time. It's not going to do anything to your financial statements. Okay, and right now I can also look at ledger. Okay, so another thing that, so balance sheet first, right? Again, I don't need to go to my menu. I can just type balance sheet. Okay, this is called the report balance sheet because I remember what it is. So I don't need to search for it anymore. So make sure that my company, right now it's still 2,000, so I want to refresh it. So sometimes the report needs refreshing like that. So I got 5,000. Okay, so my company, it's much more valuable now. Something like that, okay? Much more valuable. Mm-hmm.
5K.
Yeah, so I think you put it into the wrong category. So that's your journal entry. It's, I think that the debit account is wrong. Yeah, but bank overdraft is liability. That's not assets. You have to do bank account.
But I can't find bank account.
Okay, so your friend has an interesting case because he input the wrong account. Okay, is he fired? No, not necessarily, right? You can amend it, but you are going to be recorded. Your mistakes is actually recorded too. That's the point. Okay, so let's amend our mistakes, shall we? So I'm going to go to my journal entry. Okay, so let's say I made mistakes, right? So in my Mary, right? So you can click cancel. It's totally fine. It's just that your mistakes is going to get recorded. Like you cannot delete it, but you can fix it. And then your original one is actually saved. So I can cancel. It's going to ask me if I want to cancel. Yes. Okay. And then I can amend my document. Okay, let's see. Amend. Okay. And now I can change whatever I want. Okay, I can change to something else. I don't remember, is there anything else I should go? So yeah, this one I think is the liability. This is not asset. Can you find account? If you don't find it, maybe it's a good one. It's a good opportunity to create one. Shall we? Let's create one. So maybe I'll just do one for you to show you. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my chart of account. Okay, so see, let's see. I don't want to go back to the menu. It's too slow. So I'm just typing in like chart of account, like that. Okay, so I'm going to open it. Okay, again, I can come to my assets. Okay, and there are many folders in here. It doesn't really matter. It just is for organization. You can just create new one on the top level, like that. Okay, or if you want to be super organized, you can create new folder first and then put things inside that folder. Doesn't matter. Okay, So right now I'm going to say SCB. So usually, when you have many banks, right? Then maybe putting the name of that bank ring a bell. So I'm going to say SCB, which is Siam Commercial Bank, right? And this is a good opportunity to put maybe the account number. Usually if you have bank number, maybe you have more than one account per bank, then you might want to put account number like that, or optional, okay? And then now you're going to go into the assets, which is, maybe they already have one called bank account. Yeah, bank, okay. It's fine. So bank is an asset type, which is okay. So you can put bank like this, okay. All right, and that's it. You just have to create a new one. And right away, if you create the bank account type bank, it's going to put that bank number in front, which kind of convenient for the accountant to use, okay. And now, if you have more account to use, then let's go back to the journal entry. So I'm going to go to journal entry again. And this one's already canceled, so I have to amend it, okay? And I'm going to fix this one from my SCB. There you go, done. And I can save it, okay, and submit, okay? So keep in mind that, the one that you cancel never get deleted, but then the new one that you amend is actually the one that's actually going to be used in your financial statements, okay? And also, the link between your new one and the revised one is actually recorded in here too. So if I go to, where is it? It's hidden somewhere in here. So if I go to the canceled one, I can see that there should be something called amended from. Let me see. Yeah, right here. So actually right here. Okay, so in every document there are links that can be recorded like this. So if I go to this one, I know that this one is a revised version from that particular one that get canceled. So yes, you're not going to be fired, but your mistakes never get deleted too. So that's how it works. Okay. All right. So right now, it's very good. Now I can start paying for something, right? I got money into my bank account. Now I can pay. Okay, so let's pay something. So again, if you want to pay something, you got to go into your chart of account to see if you already have that type of category of your expense ready. So I go to my chart of account, and if I go to my expense, I already have a lot of things worked out for me. So whatever you're paying, if it's not your products, it's going to be indirect expenses, okay? Like rent and salary, that's called indirect expenses. So maybe I want to do office rent, it's already taken care of. If I want to do salary, so it's also taken care of. So you don't need to do anything unless you have particular category you want to group them into, okay? All right, so let's go. So I'm going to go to my journal entry. Okay, I'm creating a new one, right? And this one, I'm going to pay my rent, so rent, like that. Okay, and I want to go back to my cheat sheets again because I want to type it in the right category. If I have expense, my expense increase, it goes into the debit side, so not the credit side. Okay, so I have to go here, debit side, which if I follow from my 500 baht, that's very cheap, like that. Okay. And then your accountant should know what the other end of your from the expense. You can pay from your bank account if you want. Okay, so I'm going to say SCB, and then right away it already balances the number for me. Okay. All right, so I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to submit. Like that, okay? There you go. I already record my expenses, okay? As you can imagine that, this one looks more complicated than if you would just have an Excel file, right? You just have rent 500 baht and that's it, right? But in the long run, going like this way, it's actually more manageable, and also it can be auditable by the accountant firm, which is if you want to go professional, then you need an accountant firm too. So it's better to stick with how professionals doing, okay? Again, if I were to go back to my balance sheet, then you can see that my company actually incur loss, right? Think about this. I only have expense, I don't have income. So if I want to make profit, I need income. So right now, even though I have assets, doesn't mean that I have profit, right? Asset can be turned into investment and things like that. But the thing that determines the profit is actually the income and expenses. So I haven't sold anything. That's why my company is incurring loss. Okay, and you can see that my asset is actually less because I have less in my bank account, but I have not earned anything. Okay. Okay, so for the remaining exercise, can you guys add in salary and see if your company is suffer even more loss? Okay, I'm hearing the submit sound, okay? All right, so let me just do it too. Journal entry, okay, and add it to it, right? And then I'm gonna go for salary, which is my expense. And then again, expense increase, go to the debit side. So I don't remember what it is, 200 baht. That's actually less than the daily minimum wage. So that's wrong, okay? This one go from my bank, maybe. I have two bank accounts in my system. So I remember this one also has monies in it. Okay, saved and submit, okay? And then my balance sheet should reflect that change, because if don't forget to refresh it, okay? If I refresh it, then 700, I have more loss, okay? I haven't sold anything yet. Okay, and with this alone, I like to show you that we actually use this in our department. Okay, so in our department, we use the accounting software like this very software in order to track, what are the travel expense from the faculty. So it works like this. So the department is supposed to support faculty travel. Each one is the 200,000 baht per 2 years. So the way that we do it is that the department is, we create the liability account for each of the faculty name, because the department is owing money to the faculty. And whenever there is the travel going on, then we create the journal entry to kind of make that balance go less and less and things like that. But what's cool about this is that we can also kind of manage things from the department side, because the department also get money from the faculty of engineering. So we can kind of manage things, for example, like once we have the budget from the faculty of engineering, we create the asset and equity, and then we create the liability account for the faculty that tracks how much money they use for travel. So our systems actually work in a way that is compliant to the accounting system. And then that gives us more, confidence into how we do things internally. So that's something that we use for real, okay, for a while now. And another thing is that if you are really good at this, you can, and this is the example. Like we can use, these are the name of the liability account for each of the faculty. And then you can, I hide it here, but that's kind of like the information of the transaction for each of the faculty that the travel expenses, okay? And also, if you're really good at this is actually real. So I talked to the company, and this is not from me, this is from my colleagues who really, really good at ERPNext and also really, really good at accounting. So his job is to customize ERPNext for this particular company. So this company is maybe medium size. The income is for like 200 million baht per year. And he's charging 400,000 baht just to implement the accounting module in this company. So I hope that gives you more motivation to learn this, right? Like you don't even have to create your own software. All you need to do is to know enough of accounting and be able to customize it to the company's need, and you can charge them 400,000 baht, okay? For a month, like the time that he takes about 1 month. So you can be the guy who actually earn 4,000 baht per month, right? 400,000 baht per month if you do this every month. So it's actually real, like this thing is actually using in the real company, and people actually charge a lot of money for their expertise if they can do it, okay? Okay, in the remaining time, we want to make sure that our company make profit. So we're gonna do some business now. We're gonna purchase something from our supplier, and then we're gonna sell it to the customer so that we make an income, okay? All right, in order to purchase anything, we're gonna have to follow what's called the purchase flow. Okay, so the flow is what ERP is actually good at. So it enforces everyone to use the software to go through the same type of documents so that it's tractable, okay? So first, if you want to purchase something from your supplier, let's say this is for the bulk buying, not the retail buying, okay? You buy everything all at once. So you're gonna have to make a purchase deal. So you call your supplier, yeah, I wanna, buy 10,000 amount of something, like a lot, right? And there are two branches in here. The first branch is the money branch, okay? So once you agree with your supplier on the price, okay, you are going to receive what is called the contract for payment. So basically, you're gonna owe money to your supplier. You have to pay the supplier something, right? And, I forgot to tell you. So there are, the name of the document is called purchase order for that deal, and then the purchase invoice for that contract to pay. So once you have to pay, you can imagine that this one incur liability, right? You're supposed to pay, you're liable to pay someone, right? And when you actually pay it, then you have to create another document called payment entry. So because that helps the process where maybe you don't want to pay at once, maybe you want to pay like 3 times, split them into 3 payments, and that payment entry actually facilitates that process, okay? For the money side, you have two more documents to take care of. But then when you pay someone, you are expecting to receive that purchase goods, right? So that is when you are recording when something actually delivers to your company. So it's called the purchase receipt, okay? So the name in blue is actually the name that is used in the software. So we're gonna follow that flow, all right? Okay, so first, let's say we're gonna sell pen. All right, so we have to buy pen from our supplier. So that's why, maybe I did it already for me, but maybe you can do it too, okay? We're gonna go into stocks first, okay? Because, when we wanna store pen, then we need to create that particular item. Okay, we're gonna go into this item right here. Okay, I think the other version is the same thing. We go to stock and then item. Yeah, same thing, all right? And I already did it. But for you, if you haven't done so, you can create pen, and then, it already exists. But for me, if I do something else like pencil, I can create pencil, right? And then item group, usually if it's something you bought and sell, then it's product, okay? And that's it. That's all you need to do. Just saved. And you can create as many items as you want. And usually, I would say 1,000 product would be something pretty common in many businesses, okay? So you can think about like a lot of stuff in here, which is totally fine, okay? Okay, so the next step is that we're gonna create supplier because we need to have a supplier, right? So we're gonna go back into, I think supplier should be in the buying module. Buying, okay, so let's check it out. Supplier, there you go, right here. Okay, so let's create a supplier, okay? And again, you just create like this. So pen, supplier. Okay, and that's all you need to do. But if you want to go in depth, you do have an option to go to full form, which you can input a lot of information about this supplier. Okay, but for now, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just creating a supplier. But there's nothing that prevents you from going in this and then filling in a lot of things that you might want to in the real life. Okay. And next up, we're going to buy pen. Okay, and then, but then if you're buying things from your supplier, you need to know how much it costs. So that's when you make a purchase order. Like purchase order is when you make a deal. Like I want to buy pen, 10 pen, and 50 baht a piece. Can you give me that price? And you're gonna make some negotiation with your supplier. But then once it's done, you're gonna record that agreement, right, onto what's called the purchase order or PO. That's what a lot of people usually call. So if you go to buying, there should be a link called purchase order, which is right here. Let's create one, shall we? Purchase order. Okay, so it's going to look the same, pretty much the form, right? Looks white and lots of things to fill in. So make sure you know what you are filling in right now. Right now it's purchase order, okay? And if you already create your supplier, then your supplier should pop up right here. Okay, required by usually the delivery date. So you can pick a date, doesn't really matter for now. I'm just pick tomorrow. Okay, and all you need to do is to come back to here and pick the item that you make a negotiation with the supplier. So pen would be something that I negotiate, right? And I want to buy 10, so the quantity is 10. Okay, and the rate. This is a price that you negotiate with your supplier. So I can, I can get maybe 50 baht a piece. Okay, but then that's something that you need to make sure it's the same with the other side, right? So, sorry, warehouse doesn't really matter for now. Okay, so right now, if I want to buy 10 pen for 50 baht a piece, then I need to pay 500 baht. So that's what the total amount. Okay. I can hit saved, okay, and then I can hit submit, okay, to confirm, right? So you can imagine that this step doesn't have to be done by the owner of the store, right? It can be done by, the sales manager, sales employee, okay? But then you, as the owner, can keep track of what the sales employee do by just checking this link right here. So if I come back to this link, I can see that there's an order coming up, right? And I'm supposed to receive that goods delivery. Am I supposed to pay that guy, to pay that supplier, right here? So I'm going to go back to this chart, and you have two options. You can go through. What? Sorry, I usually made. Okay. Oh, I can go back from this link. You can do either brand first. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to go, just for an example, the top one first. So I'm going to go for the money branch first. So next stop, I'm going to create purchase invoice. So think about this. Once your supplier agree, then he's going to send you the contract that you need to pay him. Okay, so that's contract agreement is called the invoice. It's purchase invoice. Okay, so it can be created anywhere in many ways, but I guess for me, the most intuitive way is to actually go to the purchase order, and then I'm going to create this guy right here, the purchase invoice. Okay, so that's I guess the easiest way for me, because if you create from here, then the information from this order is filled in automatically without you having to type it again. Okay, so I'm going to create purchase invoice. Okay. and make a note of what you are editing right now. So right now you are editing the purchase invoice, okay, not the purchase order, right? And if you don't need to make any changes, actually all the information are filled in for you, okay? Unless you want to make any changes. For example, if you want to pay twice, then you can create, you can have 2 invoices. Each one is 250 baht each. You can certainly do that. It's totally normal, okay? But right now I'm going to pay once, so I received 1 invoice from my supplier, okay? And then I can save and then submit, okay? What we just did is that we just did this step right here, okay? And with this step, it means that we owing our supplier 500 baht. We have to pay him, okay? So that means that if you look into our accounting system, we do have liability to pay, right? I just wanna make sure that this one makes sense to you. So for everything in this software, you can view what is called the accounting ledger. Okay, so accounting ledger is like your book bank, right? Whenever you go to the bank, you want to update your transaction. That's called the ledger. Okay, so if I were to look into the ledger specifically for this purchase invoice, you're going to see that the things that involved in this ledger, there are 2 things in here. There are things called the creditor, so that's the supplier that we need to pay him the money, okay? And because our liability increases, you can see that it goes negative. So that's the confusing part right here. Like we have more stuff to pay, the balance is actually more negative, right? But then what are we getting back in return? We are getting back stock received, but not bill, I think, right? But not bill, okay? So this is a little bit confusing because this is kind of like an asset, but then it's the asset that we haven't received yet, okay? And this one actually resides in the liability category. So very, very fine detail about this. I'm not gonna go into this detail, but just want to let you know that in every document in here, you do have a way to inspect what, like the journal entry per se, how things gonna put into which category. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so right now I need to pay someone, right? I need to pay our supplier. So let's move to the next one, which is payment entry. Okay, and actually paying. So when you pay, you do pay it, but then you have to come back into the system and record that payment. Okay, so the best way that I like to do is to create what's called the payment right here. Okay, so that's, if you do it from here, it's the information is filled in automatically. So I'm going to do payment, okay? And again, right now, you are editing the payment entry, okay? And all you need to do is to select the mode of payment, okay? So in which methods are you going to pay? And if you select any other things apart from cash, you're going to get error because you need to set the account accordingly. So the only thing that works for now is cash, okay? And there's nothing wrong with it because the system requires us to configure some of the mode of payment. So why don't we just choose cash for now, okay? And the rest is filled in automatically. For example, pen supplier, we are paying 500 baht, right? And then what the invoice that we are dealing with is this one right here. So, and you can imagine that when you pay someone, you can have many invoices. It doesn't have to be one, okay? So that's the benefit of using this type of flow, okay? So I'm gonna hit saved, and I'm gonna hit submit, okay? Again, if I were to look into my ledger, okay, see what happened in here, okay? Right now, if I were to pay somebody, you can see that my cash, which is the asset, decreases. It goes into the debit, right? But then my debt decreases. It's actually go to the debit side. So this one is actually the opposite of what you would do last time. If you go back to my table, this type of transaction makes sense. Although you have to kind of think about it a little bit, okay? All right, so So that's it for the money, right? But then we haven't really received our stock yet. So let's wait until the pen arrives at our company. And once it arrives, you can record the receipt of the goods, okay? So purchase receipt, okay? So what I usually like to do is actually go back to the purchase order and then create the purchase receipts from here, okay? So right now, I'm in quite deep, right? I'm in the ledger. So for things like this, it's okay to just go back to the home page, okay? And you can go to buying and purchase order, or you can just type it in purchase order, same thing, okay? So right now, it's saying that the status of that order is to receive something. So I'm going to create purchase receipt. See, as you can imagine that right now, I don't need to pay anyone anymore. So there's no option to create the invoice, okay? So I'm going to say purchase receipt, okay? Meaning that I'm going to receive the goods into my warehouse, okay? So this is where another concept will come in, which is where are you going to put them, right? You have to tell the system where is this pens going to be, and you have to put it in here. So right off the bat, there are 4 places you can put in, and the most, I guess, common sense, store. So store is like your main warehouse, okay, but certainly you can create more warehouse if you have particular need for it, okay. And that's it, okay. Normally, if you want to inspect your goods, you can do it here, and if you want to reject anything, you can put it here. But for now, let's keep it simple. Just accept everything. So I'm going to go to saved and then submit. There you go. If I were to look into my ledger, okay, there are 2 things that I can do. I can look into my accounting ledger, which is dealing with money. Let's see what happened. Okay. So right now, once I receive the goods, that means that I have this thing increases. Stock in hand is your asset. Okay, your asset can be money in the bank, can be stock in your inventory. That particular account name, stock in hand, is your stock in your inventory. Okay, in your warehouse. Sorry, your warehouse. Okay, and it comes from this particular placeholder that I mentioned that I say is quite complicated. This one is from liability. So don't need to pay attention here that much, but just want to make sure that you understand that we have more assets in our company. Okay, apart from the money, we have the stocks. Okay. All right, so let's go back into our, I guess, into our balance sheet for a bit and see what happened. Okay, are you surprised by any chance? Because it looks the same. Like, if I were to record what I did before buying anything, this is what happened. And once I buy pens for another 500 baht, nothing changes. I mean, I was surprised by this the first time I see this, so I just want to point it out. But this is actually correct. Okay, the act of buying something doesn't change your balance sheet at all because you are turning your asset, which is money, into stock. So what's changed is actually what's inside this 4,300 baht. So first, you might have 4,300 baht as cash in your bank account. But once you buy pen for 500 baht, it goes into your stock. So you have less money, but you have your stuff. So your assets the same. So that's why this balance sheet is not happening, not changing. When I look at this at the beginning, I was confused. I thought that when I buy something, my expense should increase. So this 700 should increase. I'm expecting this one to increase, but that's not correct. Your expense is usually from your indirect expense. It's your, so that's the point that I want to make. In case you are wondering, if you're not wondering, that's okay. Okay? Also, another thing that you can look into it is that if I go back to my chart of account, I can see that each of my account has some non-zero balance in it. For example, this is my money in my bank account, right? And if I were to go into my current asset, you can see that I have, where is it? I should have my stocks in here, right here. I have stock in my hand for 500 baht. So that's why. So that's make it so that I have the same assets, but it transforms from cash into stocks. That's what it is, okay? All right, and if I were to summarize everything that we just did, this is what happened in terms of the accounts. So I'm not going to go into detail, it's okay, because this one, if you want to dive into how things are working, this is how it works, okay? Can you buy more pens for me, please? Using the same flow. So buy 10 more, because we're going to sell the pen with profits, right? So you need more than 10. I don't think 10 pens is enough to make a profit here. You already make a lot of expense, right? You pay a guy salary, you rent the office space, you need to sell more. You got to buy more.ยังไม่ได้รับครับอยู่นี่คุณต้อง purchase receipt ด้วย ครับ Okay, so let me go through the flow from my own. Okay, so I'm gonna buy more pen. So I'm gonna make a deal with my suppliers. Okay, so I'm gonna go for purchase order. Okay, again, if I remember where the name, then I can just type it in here, right? And I'm create new purchase order. Okay, and you know ERPNext allow you to do create the new supplier on the fly like this. So I'm gonna say pen supplier 2. I can do it something like this too, and then save, and then it automatically created right here. So it's pretty convenient if you jump right in here. Okay, I'm gonna require it by today, and I'm gonna buy more pen. Okay, I'm gonna make it like 50, and then I'm gonna make the rate different. So let's say another supplier gave me 45 baht, okay, per a piece, which is even better. Okay, submit. Okay. I have 2 things to do. I have to pay money branch and then the stock branch. Okay, so I'm gonna pay first. So I'm gonna create the invoice, meaning that I receive the invoice from my supplier. Okay, and if nothing needs to be changed, you can just save it and submit. Okay, and then once I pay my supplier, I'm gonna come back here and create payment. And again, if you don't set it up correctly, you cannot use any other mode of payment apart from cash. Okay, and I'm supposed to pay my new supplier this much. Okay, so if I pay it, then I can just save and submit. Done. Okay, then I can go back to my purchase order. I can hit back. Okay, and then I create another receipt of my goods, which is purchase receipt. Okay. And this one I have to tell the system where I want my goods to be, so store, okay, as usual, okay. And then I'm gonna hit save and submit. I'm done, okay. So you can imagine that there are many documents in here, but it allows you to split the work between maybe the stock manager and also the sales manager or the purchase manager. They don't have to be on the same branch, right? So that's why a lot of clicks in here, okay. And maybe it's good right before you even attempt to sell anything to see how much stock you have. Okay, so we're gonna touch a little bit on the stock module. So I'm gonna go to my stock, and I can go to stock summary. You wanna check your stock, right? So stock summary, that's a good place to check. So stock summary, stock summary. Okay. And right now, yeah, I have pen. I have 60 pen in my store. Okay, that's all. Okay, it looks a bit empty because it's designed for a lot of things in here. But once you have 1,000 items, then you can see that this page is quite useful. Okay. Another thing that I like to do is called stock balance because.
Just have a question before. You can see on the pens you have 0 and 20 or 0 and 60.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so 0 is the reserve stock. So it's a good question.
So the safety stock.
I will show you this. If I create my sales order, I want to sell my pen to my customer. I'm going to jump a little bit further. I'll come back here, okay, to show you in detail. Oh, the name of the customer, okay, customer 1, okay. If I want to sell this for my pen, for maybe 10 pen, right, and then 60 baht each, okay, delivery date, okay, so let's say today. If I remember correctly, if I go back to my stock summary, there should be a number on the left. I have to refresh it. Nope, I think that's the sale invoice. So maybe let me go back a little bit and I'll show you what happened. Okay, I don't want to go too fast. Okay, but that's the reserve stock, meaning that if you are going to sell it to someone, there would be that number, so that you know that you don't oversell it. That's what it is. Okay, but it will come up once you start to do the sale invoice. Okay, okay. So let's sell the pen, shall we? Same thing. If you want to sell pen, and we are talking about the bulk selling, not the retail, because retail is a bit more complicated. But right now, you have to talk to your customer, hopefully like another company. You want to sell in bulk, okay? You make a sale order, right? You agree on the price and whatever, then the date, delivery date and everything, right? Once you make the deal, then you have 2 branches again. The money branch and then the stock branch, okay? So the money branch is the same as the purchase, but on the opposite side. So you are going to send your customer the contract for payment. So they need to pay you, okay? So that's called sale invoiced, okay? And then once you receive the money from your customer, you can record it in payment entry. The same way, but in the opposite side, the opposite directions, right? And then once the customer pay you, or actually doesn't have to pay you, but you have to send your goods to the customer. It's called delivery note, okay? So the name of the document that you're going through is called sales order, and then sales invoice, payment entry. And also for the delivering of the goods, it's called delivery note, okay? So let's do that, shall we? Okay, so I'm gonna go to my selling, and then I'm gonna go to my sales order, right here. Oh, I'm going too fast, sales order, okay? And I'm gonna create a new sales order. And again, I need to create a customer, which, I mean, let's try a new way, which is to just add new customer from this page. I can say customer 2, and then that's it. That's all I need to do. And delivery date, you can agree on the day. That date can be anyone, anywhere, anytime. Again, item code would be my pen, okay? And then it would be, let's see, I want to sell, I have 60, right? I want to sell 30 pen. And the rate is actually where your price, your sale price is going to be. So make sure that is more than your purchase price, right? You want to make profit, so make sure it's, you're making profit here, right? So I'm going to say 80 each. Okay, I want to make 30 baht profits roughly each, okay? And that's it, saved and submit. Okay, now you got the sale order, you got the contract agreed, right? And then once you're done, then you can start the, actually any branch is okay to start first. So this one first, okay? So you're gonna send your customer the purchase, the sale invoice. So I'm gonna create sale invoice. Similarly to what we do with the purchase, but on the opposite direction, okay? So sale invoice, right? So again, who is my customer, right? And what am I gonna sell to? And you're supposed to pay me this much, right? You can save and submit, okay? But see, this part is when, you know, like a software like this would be useful, because if you want to send your customer your sale invoice, then you might want to print it. So you can hit the print button and just, you know, and then create a document like this. If you set your email correctly, you can just email from the system right away. So this is quite useful, right? Usually that's what the sales team do, right? They generate the sale invoice from this software, okay? And if I'm not mistaken, this one should also reflect on your stock summary. So that's your question. Let me see. Okay. If I go back to my stock summary, I should have right here, see, 30. So that's the reserve stock right here. So that's why. Okay. So it doesn't come from sale order. It comes from sale invoiced. Okay.
And if it exceeds the number that we have in stock?
I think it's okay. I think it's okay, but you cannot deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one is just a promise, so you can kind of fill it in later. Okay, okay. But good question. Yeah. All right. So we tell our customer that they need to pay us, right? So you should collect the payment, right? Once you collect the payment, then you can actually record it in the payment entry, which is the same document as before, payment. Okay. But the direction is reversed, as you can see from right here. The payment type is actually received. Okay, so if you go back to your purchase cycle, then you can say that the payment type should be called pay, right? But right now it's received, so this is automatic, right? And let's imagine that you receive the payment through cash, okay? And you are receiving this much, okay? So that's what it is, okay? You can just save it and submit, okay? And right away, once you did this, you should make profit, okay? But let's do everything, complete the cycle, okay? So once you receive the money, you should honor your contract by actually delivering the goods to your customer, okay? So again, I can go back all the way to my sales order, okay? You can either just hit the back button, actually it works, until you hit the sales order, or you can just search for sales order from the home page. It's totally fine. But what you can do is to create the delivery note. Okay, so that is going to, so imagine that this document is creating, once you're a stock manager or stock employee, loading things onto your truck and start going out, then you can create this document, or during that process, or somewhere around that, okay? Again, this one is going to tell you that you are going to send 30 pens for me, okay? But then you need to tell the system where is your pen, and that is where you set the warehouse right here. Okay, if you set the warehouse incorrect, then the system will not allow you to submit this document, because it's going to say that you don't have pen in that particular place. So you got to set it correctly, okay? Or if your quantity is too many, you cannot submit this document, okay? So that's gonna rely on the amount of your physical goods. So save and submit, okay? And once you do this, then you can check your stock summary just to see that the goods is already gone. So remember this one, you need to refresh just one more time so that your number is updated, okay? Okay, so once you do this, you should have profit, right? You sell more than you bought. Let's do a balance sheet, right? If I go back to my balance sheet, I'm making profit right now. Yes, okay, something like that. So that's how it works within the the buy and sell purchase order with the accounting, okay? So before we go, can you make another sale? Maybe make it ridiculously expensive just to make sure you have lots of profits, okay? Okay, so let me go through this example too. All right, so I'm going to go to sales order. Okay, and let's see, I have new customer. Okay, customer 3. Okay, and maybe I can make a deal with this guy. I can sell them very expensive, say maybe 20 more, but this one maybe 100 each. Okay, save and submit. Yeah. So again, I can do the money branch or the stock branch. So maybe I'll just deliver first. It's totally fine. So I can deliver first if the customer says so. Okay, I can save. And actually, I need to set the warehouse. So store, okay, and then save and submit. Okay. So I deliver my stuff, but then I haven't really get the money. So I need to send my customer the invoice. Wait, this is sale, so sale invoice, yep. And then again, this is the invoice, right? I can save and maybe print them and then send my customer an email or something. So, and certainly you can customize your form, your print format the way you want. It's totally flexible, okay? And once I send them my invoice, then my customer should pay me, okay? So once I got the money, I should record it in my payment documents. Again, I haven't set anything else, so I'm going to choose cash and make sure that whatever I got is the same as what written in here. Okay. You can certainly put the number less than 2,000, and then the system will ask you to create more payment later on until you fulfill that 2,000 baht. Okay. So a lot of cases can go wrong. I mean, there are a lot of complications in this cycle, and this software can handle pretty much a lot of cases that you can think of, although it remains to be seen, all right? So, okay, so that's it. I can check my balance sheet to see what I got, okay? So I got a lot more profits. And also, if you want to just look at just the expense and the income, then maybe cash flow, profits and loss would be something else that I've seen people do this. So there are income and expense, if that's something that makes more sense to you. So that's another way to look at, okay? And there are also, more activities in here. You can kind of inspect what happened in your business, okay? All right, we can go further, okay, because there are a lot more in this software, but I want to stop now because actually what I want to do is I want to connect everything that you just built into this software. So next time, if you can, so bring your sensor and I guess refresh yourself on whatever we did before, like the application and NHN, and hopefully we can connect everything together and make a system that's actually do some automation and facilitate whatever the business requirements is, okay? Okay, so I guess I want to end it now, but I want to install ERPNext in some of the people that are here, so I think that might be a good time. All right, so if you already have your ERPNext ready, I'll see you next week. If not, then can you stay, and then I can help you install, okay? All right, thank you.